All right, solving quadratics. Buster loves quadratics unconditionally, and he is pretty dang cute. Okay, so square root, this is probably one of the easier methods. You can only use square root when, like, you don't have a middle term. So here we have 16r squared plus 9 equals 73. We don't have any r terms, so we can do this. So we're just going to solve this for r squared. When you isolate yourself to recharge for a weekend, but it actually accidentally lasts a year. So we're isolating the r squared. That's what this is kind of getting at. Kind of funny just because of what's going on. But anyway, so subtract the 9. We get 16r squared equals 64. Divide by 16, and we get r squared equals 64 over 16, which is 4. Now we're going to square root, which means r equals any time you have an equal sign, excuse me, and you are taking a square root, you always have a plus or minus. Okay, so r equals plus or minus 2. Cool? So r equals 2 and r equals negative 2. Put the plus or minus when you're solving an equation. Do not put the plus or minus when you are just simplifying an expression. That's the difference. So if you're solving, you put plus or minus. If you're simplifying, you don't. So this one, we're going to subtract the 7. You get 49a squared equals 36. Divide by 49, and you get a squared equals 36 over 49. Now, 36 over 49 cannot reduce, so we're just going to square root it here. And when you square root a fraction, you can just square root the top and square root the bottom. So that's going to be a equals, well, the square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 49 is 7, so that's going to be plus or minus 6/7. So a equals 6 over 7, and a equals negative 6 over 7. Okay. Cute giraffe. 8k cubed plus 3 equals 699. So minus the 3, and you get 8k cubed equals 696. Divide by 8, and you get k squared. Why was I saying k cubed? K squared. That should have been saying k squared the whole time. Equals 87. Square root. You can't take the square root of 87. And so that's just going to be plus or minus square root of 87. Cool? And you can't simplify that square root either. I'm going to skip this example. Blah, blah, blah. We don't need to go into that, okay? Solving quadratics by factoring. So we've been here before. We're going in circles. We're factoring, okay? We're getting back to factoring. Pick a side, any side. I would pick a side to move everything where the squared term is positive. So I'm going to move this all to the left side. So I'm going to subtract the 11m, and I'm going to add the 28. So now here, I'm going to factor this. And you can choose any method you want for factoring it. Just factor it. So we want to see what multiplies to be 28 and adds to be negative 11. Well, that's negative 4 and negative 7. So this is going to be m minus 4, m minus 7 equals 0. And then we're going to set both of those equal to 0. And then just solve it. So m minus 4 equals 0, which means m equals 4, because we could just add the 4 over. M minus 7 equals 0, I can just add the 7, and I get m equals 7. Pretty neat. Now, if you were to graph this, so if we were to graph this right here, the graph would look like this. And notice right here and right here. That's where it's crossing the x-axis. That's where our zeros are. Well, that's the m equals 4. That is the m equals 7. Pretty neat. Whoa. Okay, so this one, we want to get everything to one side. So I am going to, I moved the 19x over. But notice here how this is negative still. I don't like that. I don't like having negatives leading. It makes it harder. So we don't want negatives. We're going to divide everything there by negative 1. And I can show you this step if you want. But if we just divide everything here by negative 1, you end up getting 0 divided by negative 1 is 0. Negative 2x squared divided by negative 1 is 2x squared. 19x divided by negative 1 is negative 19x, and then negative 9 divided by negative 1 is 9. So it really just switches all the signs. Okay? And then I'm just going to move this over to the other side of the equation. And then factor this. And I'm going to factor it with slip inside. Use whatever method works for you. So I end up getting x squared minus 19x plus 18. So we want to see what multiplies to be 18, adds to be negative 19. Well, it's negative 18 and negative 1. So that's x minus 18, x minus 1. But we multiplied by that 2 first, so we have to divide by the 2. So I get x minus 9. This 2 slides back, and I get 2x minus 1. Now, if you factored that a different way, you would have gotten the same exact thing. And then set those equal to 0. That first one just becomes 9. The second one, add the 1 over, you get 2x equals 1. Divide by 2, and we get x equals 1/2. And again, you could graph this, and we can see that it's crossing here at 1/2 and at 9. Okay? That's cool, man. It's cool. All right, this one, so I'm going to... That face you make when you don't know what side to pick. I'm going to add the 3x over. So I have 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Factor this, so I get x squared plus 10x minus 24. Multiplies to be negative 24. Adds to be 10. So that's 12 and negative 2. So that's x plus 12 and x minus 2. I multiplied by 3, so I have to divide by 3. So that's going to be x plus 4 and 3x minus 2. Set them equal to 0, and then you get x equals negative 4, add the 2, 3x equals 2, so x equals 2/3. Again, graph it. You can see that's where it crosses the x-axis. Gosh, bye. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.